Jennifer Hayes sits in her home office at 9:34 p.m., scrolling through social media, feeling satisfied with herself. 42 years old, HR director at a tech company, respected, influential. She'd successfully gotten James Morrison, her former coworker, fired 6 months ago by spreading carefully crafted lies about sexual harassment. He'd gotten the promotion she wanted, so she destroyed him. Simple workplace politics, or so she thought. But when impossible cold fills her office and divine light materializes, Jesus Christ appears. And between them, a vision forms that stops her heart. James Morrison, sitting in a dark apartment, eviction notice in hand, divorce papers on the table, antidepressants scattered, looking at a gun. "You bore false witness," Jesus says. "You destroyed a man made in my image with lies. Now you'll see exactly what your words cost him: his career, his marriage, his reputation, his will to live. And you'll understand, you didn't just break the 9th commandment. You committed murder with your tongue." You're probably wondering how a respected HR director, someone whose job was protecting people from workplace harassment, ended up being confronted by Jesus Christ about falsely accusing an innocent man of sexual harassment to advance her own career. How someone who attended church, who taught Sunday school to children about honesty, had destroyed a man's entire life with calculated lies and felt justified doing it. Let me take you back to when Jennifer Hayes was passed over for a promotion she believed she deserved, and how, when her coworker James Morrison got it instead, she decided to destroy him using the most effective weapon in modern workplace culture, a false accusation that would be believed without evidence and could never be fully disproven.
If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, pause this video. I'm putting resources in the description that could save a life.
False accusations destroy lives. In our current cultural moment, an accusation, particularly of sexual misconduct, can end careers, marriages, reputations before any investigation or trial. Believe All Women has created an environment where accusers are automatically believed and the accused are automatically guilty. This story doesn't dismiss real harassment or real victims. Sexual harassment and assault are real, traumatic, and far too common. Real victims deserve justice. But this is the story of something different. A false accusation weaponized for career advancement. A lie so carefully constructed that it destroyed an innocent man's life while advancing the liar's career. A woman who broke the 9th commandment, "You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor," and didn't consider it sin because the ends justified the means. Jennifer Hayes was 42 years old, HR director at Apex Technologies, a mid-sized tech company in Seattle. She earned $180,000 annually, was respected in her field, served on diversity and inclusion committees, was vocal about protecting women in the workplace. She also was ambitious, ruthlessly so. And when she was passed over for VP of Human Resources in favor of James Morrison, a male colleague she considered less qualified, she made a choice: destroy him, not through better performance, not through legitimate competition, but through the most effective tool available to her, a false accusation of sexual harassment that she knew would be believed without question and could end his career while advancing hers. James Morrison was 45 years old, married to his high school sweetheart, Sarah, father of 2 teenage daughters, dedicated employee who'd worked at Apex for 12 years. When he was promoted to VP of HR in March 2023, he was thrilled. It was the culmination of years of hard work. 3 months later, June 2023, Jennifer filed a formal complaint. James had sexually harassed her. Multiple incidents over several months. Inappropriate comments, unwanted touching, creating a hostile work environment. All lies. All carefully constructed to be believable, impossible to disprove, and devastating to James. The investigation was swift. Company policy and cultural pressure meant Jennifer was believed immediately. James was placed on administrative leave pending investigation, and though he insisted on his innocence, though there was no evidence, though no other women corroborated Jennifer's claims, he was fired. His career destroyed, his reputation ruined, his marriage strained to breaking, his mental health shattered. And Jennifer? She was promoted to VP of Human Resources, the position James had held for 3 months. She'd gotten exactly what she wanted, and she told herself she'd done nothing wrong. James was a man, privileged, probably had done something inappropriate at some point, deserved what he got. In the current cultural moment, destroying a man's life with false accusations was practically virtue. For 6 months, June to November 2023, Jennifer lived with the success her lie had bought her: VP title, higher salary, respect and admiration from colleagues who saw her as a brave victim who'd spoken truth to power. She attended church every Sunday, taught Sunday school, presented herself as a moral, upstanding Christian woman, never once confessed what she'd done, never acknowledged it as sin, until the 22nd of November 2023, 6 months after destroying James's life, when Jesus Christ appeared in Jennifer's home office, and he showed her something that would destroy every justification she'd built. He showed her James's complete devastation from his perspective, the destroyed career, the shattered marriage, the suicidal depression, the life in ruins, and he made her understand, bearing false witness isn't just a broken rule, it's murder with your tongue, and it carries eternal consequences. This is a story about the power of words to destroy, about false accusations weaponized for personal gain, about someone who considered herself a victim advocate while victimizing an innocent man, about breaking the 9th commandment in the most calculated way possible and calling it justice. And it's about how Jesus confronts us when we use lies to destroy people made in his image.
Before we continue, if you believe in second chances and the power of faith, type restore in the comments right now. Let your voice be the spark of hope for a family in need. Show the world your faith in action.
Jennifer Hayes had worked at Apex Technologies for 8 years. She'd started as a mid-level HR manager, worked her way up to HR director, and had been positioning herself for the VP of Human Resources role for 2 years. She'd networked strategically, built relationships with executives, chaired the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, made herself indispensable. When the current VP announced retirement, Jennifer was certain the promotion was hers. She'd even told friends and family, "I'm getting the VP role. I've earned it. 8 years of dedication. This is my time." But in March 2023, the CEO announced, "We're promoting James Morrison to VP of Human Resources." Jennifer felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. James Morrison, her colleague, same HR director level. They'd worked together for 5 years, cordially, professionally, no conflicts. But James had only been at Apex for 12 years total, just 4 more than Jennifer. And Jennifer believed she was more qualified. She had an MBA. James had a master's in industrial psychology. She'd led more initiatives. She was more visible. She deserved this. Why James? Jennifer asked the CEO in a private meeting. "I've been positioning for this role for years. I've delivered results. What does James have that I don't?" The CEO was diplomatic. "Jennifer, you're excellent at your job. But James has a broader skill set. He's balanced employee advocacy with business needs, has strong relationships across departments, and frankly, his approach is less adversarial. You're a strong advocate for employees, which is valuable. But the VP role requires someone who can bridge employee needs with business realities. James does that naturally." Jennifer heard, "You're too pushy, too female. We promoted a man because he's more comfortable for male executives. This is gender discrimination," Jennifer said, her voice hard. "You're promoting a less qualified man over a more qualified woman. That's not what this is," the Ataya CEO said firmly. "This is about fit for the role. Jennifer, you're valued here. This isn't the end of your career trajectory. But this decision is final." Jennifer left that meeting seething. She'd been passed over for a man she considered less qualified. And in that moment, she made a choice. If she couldn't beat James fairly, she'd destroy him unfairly. Jennifer spent weeks observing James in his new VP role, watching how he interacted with people, looking for weaknesses, opportunities. She noticed he was friendly, maybe too friendly. He'd put his hand on people's shoulders during conversations, would compliment people's work, was generally warm and personable. In the current cultural climate, any of that could be reframed as inappropriate. Jennifer began documenting, not actual harassment, there wasn't any, but she started creating a narrative, writing down dates and times when James had been friendly, reframing those interactions through the lens of harassment. April 15. James put his hand on my shoulder during a meeting. Made me uncomfortable. Felt like he was asserting dominance. It hadn't made her uncomfortable. It was a normal, professional gesture. But in her notes, it became evidence. April 22. James complimented my presentation. Said I looked professional. The focus on my appearance was inappropriate. He'd complimented her work quality and noted she presented well, not inappropriate. But in her notes, it became sexualized. Jennifer spent 2 months creating a false narrative, knowing that in the current environment, her word as a woman would be believed over James's denials, knowing that even if she couldn't prove anything, the accusation itself would destroy him. She also knew the timing mattered. If she accused too soon, it might look like retaliation for not getting the promotion, so she waited. 3 months, long enough that the accusation would seem independent. On the 15th of June, 2023, Jennifer filed a formal sexual harassment complaint against James Morrison with the CEO and the board. The complaint was detailed, specific, damning. Multiple incidents of unwanted physical contact, hand on shoulder, touching her arm, standing too close, inappropriate comments about her appearance, complimenting how she looked, commenting on her outfits, creating a hostile work environment, making her feel uncomfortable, using his position to intimidate. Pattern of behavior over several months, April through June, all lies. Carefully constructed lies based on real interactions that had been completely innocent but were now reframed as harassment. Jennifer cried as she filed the complaint, made herself the victim, talked about how hard it was to come forward, how she'd tried to handle it privately but James hadn't stopped, how she feared retaliation but couldn't stay silent. The CEO was shocked. James Morrison? He'd known James for 12 years, never had a complaint, professional, kind, good family man. But in the current cultural moment, the CEO had no choice. Accusations had to be taken seriously, investigated thoroughly, and the accused had to be presumed guilty pending investigation, or the company would be seen as protecting predators. We'll launch an immediate investigation, the CEO told Jennifer. James will be placed on administrative leave. You're very brave for coming forward. Jennifer had expected this. In fact, she'd counted on it. The moment an accusation was made, James's career was over whether or not it was true. James Morrison was called into the CEO's office that afternoon, told about the accusation, given administrative leave. This is insane, James said, his voice shaking. I never harassed Jennifer. We've worked together professionally for years. I don't understand. What am I accused of specifically? The CEO provided details. James recognized the incidents. Yes, he'd put his hand on Jennifer's shoulder once, a friendly gesture he'd made with dozens of colleagues. Yes, he'd complimented her work, but none of it had been inappropriate or sexual. I'm a married man, with 2 daughters, James said desperately. I would never, this isn't who I am. Someone needs to talk to my wife, my colleagues, anyone who knows me. This isn't true. We'll investigate thoroughly, the CEO said, but his tone was already skeptical. In his mind, why would Jennifer lie? What would she gain? Over the next 2 weeks, HR conducted interviews. They talked to Jennifer multiple times. She was consistent, detailed, emotional, credible. They talked to James. He denied everything, seemed genuinely confused and hurt. But denial was expected. Predators always denied. They talked to other employees. Did anyone else have complaints about James? No. Did anyone witness inappropriate behavior? No. Did anyone think James was capable of this? No. Everyone described him as professional, kind, respectful. But the absence of corroborating evidence didn't help James, because Jennifer's accusation was believed by default. And James couldn't prove a negative, couldn't prove he hadn't made someone uncomfortable. On the 30th of June 2023, James Morrison was terminated for violating company sexual harassment policies. No evidence, no corroboration, just one person's accusation, and it was enough to destroy him. When James was fired, his world collapsed. He'd worked at Apex for 12 years, built his career there. The VP promotion had been the culmination of years of dedication, and now gone. Because of lies he couldn't disprove. He told his wife Sarah what happened. There's been an accusation. Sexual harassment. It's not true. I swear to you, Sarah, I never touched Jennifer inappropriately. I never said anything inappropriate. This is a lie. Sarah wanted to believe him. They'd been married 23 years. She knew her husband, but doubt crept in. Why would Jennifer lie? What would she gain? And in the current cultural moment, women didn't lie about harassment, did they? James, tell me the truth, Sarah said carefully. Is there any possibility, anything at all, that you made her uncomfortable without realizing it? That you misread signals? No, James said firmly. Sarah, I've worked with Jennifer for 5 years. We've had hundreds of interactions, all professional, all appropriate. This accusation came out of nowhere. I didn't do what she's claiming, but the seed of doubt was planted, and over the following months, that doubt would destroy their marriage. James immediately began searching for another job. He had bills, mortgage, kids in high school. He needed income, but every application asked, "Have you ever been terminated from a job?" He had to answer honestly, yes. And when potential employers asked why, he had to explain. Sexual harassment accusation. The conversation would end immediately. Thank you for your time. We'll be in touch. They never were. James was radioactive. In the number Me Too era, no company wanted to hire someone with a sexual harassment accusation, true or false. The risk was too high. The optics were too bad. After 3 months of unsuccessful job hunting, James's savings were depleted. He took a job at a warehouse, $15 hour, manual labor, a fraction of his previous $140,000 salary. Humiliating, but necessary. Sarah's doubt grew. She'd Google, "Why do men harass coworkers?" and find articles about how harassers often seem normal, have families, deny everything. She'd talk to friends who'd say, "Sarah, where there's smoke, there's fire." Maybe James did do something. By August, 2 months after James's firing, Sarah asked him to move out. "I need space," she said. "I need to figure out what I believe." James, "I want to believe you, but everyone says Jennifer wouldn't lie. Your own company fired you. They investigated and found you guilty. How do I ignore that?" "They didn't find me guilty," James protested. "They believed an accusation without evidence." "Sarah, I'm your husband. You've known me for 23 years. Don't you know me?" "I thought I did," Sarah said, crying. "But now I don't know what to believe." James moved into a cheap apartment. 1 bedroom, rough neighborhood, all he could afford on warehouse wages. In September, Sarah filed for divorce. "I can't do this," she told James. "I can't be married to someone I don't trust." "I didn't do anything," James said desperately. "Sarah, please. We have 2 daughters. Don't destroy our family over a lie." But Sarah had made her choice. The divorce proceeded. Word spread in Seattle's tech community. James Morrison fired for sexual harassment. The details were vague. Privacy laws prevented specifics, but everyone knew enough. Respected HR VP, accused by a female colleague, terminated. James's professional reputation built over 20 years was destroyed. Friends stopped returning calls. Colleagues avoided him. His LinkedIn profile, once impressive, now felt like evidence against him. He tried explaining to people, "It's not true. I was falsely accused." But no one believed him. Why would they? In the current climate, defending yourself made you look guiltier. His daughters, 16 and 14, heard rumors at school. "Your dad is a creep. Your dad got fired for harassment." They were humiliated, confused, hurt. James tried explaining to them, "Girls, I didn't do what I'm accused of. Someone lied." But the truth doesn't always matter when accusations are made. His older daughter believed him. His younger daughter wasn't sure. The doubt in her eyes broke his heart. By October, 4 months after being fired, James was clinically depressed. He'd lost his career, his marriage, his reputation. His relationship with one daughter was strained. He was working a manual labor job that barely paid rent, living in a depressing apartment, alone. He started therapy. The therapist asked, "James, did you do what you're accused of?" "No," James said. "I'm innocent. This was a false accusation." "But you understand why people believe Jennifer?" "Yes," James admitted. "Because our culture says women don't lie about harassment. Because accusations are believed automatically. Because I can't prove a negative." The therapist prescribed antidepressants. They helped marginally. but they couldn't fix the destroyed life. James's thoughts became dark. Suicidal ideation. Everyone would be better off if I was gone. My daughters would inherit my life insurance. Sarah could move on. The accusations would stop following my family. He bought a gun. Told himself it was for protection in his rough neighborhood. But really, he knew why he had it. On the 22nd of November 2023, James received an eviction notice. He was 2 months behind on rent, couldn't keep up on warehouse wages. He'd be homeless by December 1. He sat in his apartment, surrounded by evidence of his destroyed life. Termination letter from Apex, divorce papers from Sarah, eviction notice from his landlord, prescription bottles for depression and anxiety, and the gun, loaded, ready. James looked at it, thought about how easy it would be, how much the pain would stop, how his daughters would get $500,000 from his life insurance policy, more than he could ever give them now. "I'm sorry," he said aloud to no one. "I'm sorry for whatever I did to deserve this. I'm sorry I couldn't prove my innocence. I'm sorry I'm such a failure." He picked up the gun. At that exact moment, 9:34 p.m., the 22nd of November 2023, Jesus Christ appeared to Jennifer Hayes in her home office, 70 miles away. Jennifer sat in her home office, scrolling through LinkedIn. She'd been VP of HR for 5 months now. Loving it. Higher salary, more influence, respect. She saw a post from a woman she didn't know. Still looking for work after being let go in June. "If anyone knows of HR opportunities, I'm available." Jennifer almost kept scrolling. Then she looked at the woman's profile. Previous employer, Apex Technologies. Position, HR associate. Termination date, June 2023. Jennifer's heart sank. This woman had been let go in the reorganization after James's firing. When James was terminated, they'd restructured the department, cutting several positions to save money. This woman, innocent, competent, had lost her job as collateral damage from Jennifer's lie. "Not my fault," Jennifer told herself quickly. "I didn't make staffing decisions. That's on leadership." But the uncomfortable thought persisted. People had been hurt by her lie beyond just James. His family, his wife and daughters. This woman who'd lost her job. Others. He was a man in power, Jennifer rationalized. He benefited from privilege. What happened to him was justified. Even if the specific accusation was fabricated, he probably did something inappropriate at some point. All men do. But even as she thought it, she knew it was a lie. James had been kind, professional, never inappropriate with anyone. She'd destroyed an innocent man. "Stop," Jennifer told herself firmly. "You did what you had to do to advance. That's how the world works. James is fine. He'll find another job. He'll be fine." But Jennifer didn't actually believe that. She'd carefully constructed the accusation to be career-ending. She'd known it would follow James forever. She'd meant to destroy him. And she had. "I'm not a bad person," Jennifer said aloud to her empty office. "I'm a woman fighting against patriarchy. What I did was..." The temperature dropped 40 degrees in an instant. The cold was overwhelming. Jennifer's breath became visible. Frost formed on her computer screen. "What?" Jennifer spun around. Golden light emanated from the corner of her office. Not from any source. Just light, pure, growing, coalescing into form. A figure materialized. A man in white robes glowing from within, radiating authority that made Jennifer's heart race with terror. Jesus Christ stood in Jennifer Hayes' home office. "This isn't possible," Jennifer whispered. "And yet I'm here," Jesus said, his voice filling the room despite being spoken softly. Jennifer Hayes, 42 years old, VP of Human Resources, Sunday school teacher, woman who bears false witness as a weapon and calls it justice. Jennifer felt her defensiveness surge immediately. "I didn't bear false witness. I reported harassment. I stood up for myself." "You lied," Jesus interrupted, his voice absolute authority. "You filed a false accusation against an innocent man to advance your career. You weaponized the 9th commandment's opposite, used lies to destroy someone made in my image. And you felt justified doing it because the culture applauds you for destroying men." "James benefited from patriarchy," Jennifer said, her justifications automatic. "He got the promotion over me because he's a man. What I did was murder with your tongue," Jesus said firmly. "Not literal murder, but character assassination. reputation destruction, life, devastation, through false witness. James Morrison did nothing to you except get a promotion you wanted, and for that, you destroyed him. He moved closer. Jennifer wanted to run but couldn't move. "Do you know why I'm here?" Jesus asked. Jennifer shook her head, though terrible suspicions were forming. "I'm here because James is holding a gun right now," Jesus said, his voice heavy with sorrow. "Contemplating suicide, because the life you destroyed with lies has become unbearable. His career is gone, his marriage is ended, his reputation is ruined, his relationship with his daughters is damaged, he's being evicted, and he sees death as the only escape from the hell your false accusation created." "That's not," Jennifer started, but Jesus raised his hand. "Don't," he said. "Don't minimize, don't justify, don't deflect. James is contemplating suicide right now because of what you did, and if he pulls that trigger, his blood is on your hands, because you bore false witness, because you broke the 9th commandment so casually you didn't even consider it sin." "I was standing up for women," Jennifer protested weakly. "By lying about a man," Jesus said, his voice carrying an edge now. "By destroying an innocent person, by weaponizing accusations you knew would be believed without evidence. Jennifer, real victims of harassment exist. Real women suffer. And what you did lying about harassment for career advancement, you made it harder for real victims to be believed. You used their pain as a weapon for your ambition." Tears formed in Jennifer's eyes. "I just wanted the promotion. I deserved it. I worked. So you destroyed someone to get it," Jesus interrupted. "You committed the sin my Father put in the 10 Commandments. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor." Not complex theology, simple command. Don't lie about people. And you broke it to advance your career. He reached toward Jennifer's forehead. "Please," Jennifer begged. "I'll fix it. I'll confess. I'll tell the truth. Just don't." "You'll do that anyway," Jesus said. "But first, you need to see what you did. Not the comfortable version you've been telling yourself. The actual devastation. From James's perspective, the man whose life you destroyed, the man I created, the man currently holding a gun because existing has become unbearable." His touch was inescapable. The moment his fingers made contact, her office disappeared.
If this moment is touching your heart, share your story or a prayer request in the comments below. Someone watching may need the encouragement only you can give. Tag a friend who could use this message of hope today.
Jennifer found herself transported into James's experience over the past 6 months. She experienced the meeting from James's perspective, the shock, the confusion, the desperate attempts to defend himself against accusations he didn't understand. Through James's heart, Jennifer felt his panic. His reputation built over 20 years, destroyed in one conversation. His career ended. His identity stripped away. She felt James trying to understand. What did I do? When did I make her uncomfortable? How can I fix this if I don't understand what happened? And she felt his growing realization. There was no fixing this, because he hadn't done anything wrong. But in the current climate, that didn't matter. The accusation itself was enough to destroy him. She experienced James telling Sarah, felt his desperation for his wife to believe him, and felt the seed of doubt, seeing it in Sarah's eyes, knowing his wife wasn't sure. The vision shifted to James's job search. Jennifer experienced interview after interview where employers showed interest until the question, "Why did you leave your last position?" She felt James's humiliation explaining, "I was accused of sexual harassment," watching interest die in interviewers' eyes, knowing his career in HR was over, knowing he'd be lucky to get any professional job. She experienced the day James took the warehouse job, felt his shame. This man with master's degree, 20 years of professional experience, reduced to manual labor for $15 an hour. And she felt his thoughts. "I did everything right. I worked hard. I was kind. I was professional. And someone lied, and my entire life collapsed." The vision shifted to Sarah asking James to move out. Jennifer experienced it from James's perspective, the devastating betrayal of his wife not believing him. She felt James begging, "Sarah, you know me. You've known me for 23 years. I'm your husband. How can you believe someone else over me?" And felt Sarah's response crushing. Because everyone says you did it. Your company investigated and fired you. How do I ignore that? She experienced James moving into the cheap apartment, the loneliness, the realization that his marriage 23 years was ending because of lies he couldn't disprove. She felt the divorce papers being served, felt James's grief as his family disintegrated. Most devastating was experiencing James's interactions with his daughters. Jennifer felt the older daughter's belief in him. Dad, I know you didn't do it. This is wrong. But she also felt the younger daughter's doubt. Dad, did you do something you're not telling us? Mom doesn't believe you. Why would someone lie? And Jennifer felt James's heartbreak, his own daughter uncertain of his innocence. The relationship damaged maybe permanently by Jennifer's lies. The vision shifted to James's depression. Jennifer experienced it from inside, the crushing weight, the hopelessness, the darkness. She felt James taking antidepressants but still feeling empty, felt him going to therapy but having no answers, felt him lying awake at night thinking, everyone would be better off without me. She experienced James buying the gun, felt his justifications for protection, but knowing the real reason, she felt James's daily thoughts. I can't fix this. My reputation is destroyed forever. I'll never have my career back, my marriage back, my normal life back. This is permanent. The only way out is death. The vision shifted to tonight. Jennifer experienced James sitting in his dark apartment, eviction notice in hand, looking at the gun. Through his perspective, she felt his calculations. Life insurance will give the girls $500,000, more than I could ever provide now. Sarah can move on. The stigma will die with me. She felt him pick up the gun, felt the cold metal, felt the despair that made death seem preferable to existence. And she felt his final thoughts. I'm sorry, God. I'm sorry. I'm too weak to keep fighting. I'm sorry I can't prove my innocence. I'm sorry I failed everyone. Please forgive me for what I'm about to do. She felt James raise the gun. The vision froze. Jennifer was back in her office, on her knees, sobbing hysterically. He's going to kill himself, Jennifer gasped. Because of me. Because I lied. Oh God, what did I do? What did I do? You bore false witness, Jesus said, his voice both sorrowful and firm. You broke the 9th commandment for career advancement, and your lie, your carefully constructed accusation destroyed a man. His career, his marriage, his reputation, his will to live, all of it, gone. Because you wanted a promotion. I didn't mean for this to happen, Jennifer sobbed. I just wanted. You meant exactly this, Jesus interrupted. You constructed the accusation specifically to end his career. You knew it would follow him forever. You wanted him destroyed so you could take his position. Jennifer, you got exactly what you intended. You just didn't want to see the consequences. How do I fix this? Jennifer asked desperately. By telling the truth, Jesus said firmly. Right now, tonight. You call the CEO. You confess you lied. You explain the accusation was false, that James is innocent, that you destroyed him for career advancement, and you accept every consequence. You'll be fired, likely sued, possibly criminally charged for filing a false report. You'll lose your reputation, your career, everything you lied to gain. But James might live. But everyone will hate me, Jennifer protested. Yes, Jesus said simply. They will, because what you did is hateful. You destroyed an innocent man with lies. People should hate that. But Jennifer, your soul is at stake. My Father's 9th commandment isn't a suggestion. It's an absolute moral law. And you broke it as casually as if it didn't matter. If you don't confess, don't restore James's reputation, don't accept consequences, you're choosing your comfort over his life. Again, he began to fade. I'm going to James now, Jesus said, to stop him from pulling that trigger, to give him hope that truth will be revealed. But Jennifer, if you don't confess, if you don't make this right, his suffering continues, and your eternal judgment is sealed. My Father takes bearing false witness seriously, because your tongue has the power of life and death, and you chose death for James. Choose life now, by telling truth. And he was gone, leaving Jennifer alone in her office, but not the same Jennifer who'd been there 20 minutes earlier. Jennifer sat on her office floor, destroyed by what she'd seen and felt. James's devastation, his suicidal despair, all caused by her lies. She pulled out her phone, looked at the CEO's number. Her hand shook. If I confess, I lose everything, Jennifer thought. My job, my reputation, people will hate me. I might face criminal charges. Everything I worked for gone. But the alternative, James dying, taking his own life because of her lies, was worse. Jesus said, confess, accept consequences. Save James's life by telling truth. Jennifer called the CEO. It rang, nearly 10 p.m. He might not answer. Hello? The CEO's voice, confused at the late call. It's Jennifer Hayes, she said, her voice shaking. I need to tell you something. About James Morrison. About my accusation. I lied. Silence on the other end. I lied, Jennifer repeated, starting to cry. There was no harassment. I made it all up. James never touched me inappropriately, never said anything inappropriate. I constructed the accusation because I was angry he got the VP promotion over me. I wanted to destroy him and take his job. And I did. But it was all lies. More silence. Then, Jennifer, what are you saying? I'm saying I filed a false sexual harassment complaint, Jennifer said, forcing the words out. I bore false witness. I destroyed an innocent man's life for career advancement. And tonight, Jesus Christ appeared to me and showed me what I did, showed me James is suicidal because of my lies. And I need to confess, publicly, officially. I need to restore James's reputation, and I need to accept consequences for what I've done. Jesus appeared to you? The CEO sounded skeptical. I know how that sounds, Jennifer said. But yes, and even if you don't believe that, the truth remains. I lied. James is innocent, and I need to make this right before he kills himself. Stay on the line, the CEO said. I'm calling the board chair. Within 30 minutes, an emergency conference call had been arranged. CEO, board chair, general counsel, Jennifer, Miss Hayes. The general counsel said, his voice cold. You're stating under oath that your sexual harassment complaint against James Morrison was fabricated. Yes, Jennifer said. Completely fabricated. He never harassed me. I constructed the complaint to end his career because I wanted his position. Do you understand the legal implications of what you're saying? The lawyer asked. Filing a false harassment complaint could constitute fraud, defamation, possibly criminal charges. You could face termination, lawsuits, criminal prosecution. I understand, Jennifer said. But James Morrison is currently contemplating suicide because of what I did to him. I need to restore his reputation immediately. Whatever consequences I face, I deserve them. The board chair spoke. Jennifer, we need to be clear. If you're confessing to filing a false complaint, we have to terminate you effective immediately. We'll likely face lawsuits from Mr. Morrison. The company's reputation has been damaged and will cooperate with any criminal investigation. I understand, Jennifer repeated. Please just contact James tonight. Tell him the accusation was false. Tell him he's going to be vindicated. He needs to know before what? The CEO asked. Before he hurts himself, Jennifer said, crying now. Please, contact him tonight. The CEO called James's cell. It rang and rang. No answer. He's not answering, the CEO said grimly. Try again, Jennifer begged. Please, keep trying. Meanwhile, 70 miles away, Jesus had appeared to James Morrison as he held the gun, ready to end his life. James's perspective, 10:30 p.m. James sat in his dark apartment, gun in hand, ready, finger on trigger. One squeeze and the pain would end. I'm sorry, he whispered. Forgive me. And then light, impossible light filling his apartment. Warm, golden, beautiful. A figure materialized. James recognized him, immediately, though he'd never seen him. Jesus Christ. James, Jesus said gently, put down the gun. I can't keep going, James said, crying. I've lost everything. My reputation is destroyed. No one believes me. Living is too painful. Jennifer is confessing right now, Jesus said. At this moment, she's telling your CEO that she lied, that you're innocent, that the accusation was false. James, vindication is coming, tonight, but only if you stay alive to receive it. She's confessing? James couldn't process it. Yes, Jesus said. I appeared to her, showed her what her lies did to you, and she's choosing to tell the truth, knowing it will cost her everything. Your phone is about to ring. Your CEO is trying to reach you. Answer it." As if on cue, James's phone rang. Apex Technologies, the CEO. James looked at Jesus. Jesus nodded. "Answer." James put down the gun and answered the phone. "James Morrison?" The CEO's voice. "Yes, James, this is urgent. Jennifer Hayes just confessed that her harassment complaint against you was false. Completely fabricated. You were innocent. We're restoring your reputation immediately, offering reinstatement with full back pay, and we'll make a public statement clearing your name." James couldn't speak, couldn't process. After 6 months of hell vindication? "James, are you there?" "I'm here," James said, his voice breaking. "This is real?" "Yes." "And James, we're so sorry. We failed you. We should have investigated more thoroughly. We're going to make this right." After the call, James looked up at Jesus, still present, still radiating light and love. "Thank you," James whispered. "You saved my life." "Literally. I love you, James," Jesus said simply. "You were never alone. Even in the darkest moments, I was with you, and I'm proud of you for holding on. Restoration is coming, not just in career, in everything. Trust me." And then, he was gone. But James was not alone. For the first time in 6 months, James felt hope. Jennifer was fired that night, effective immediately. No severance. Her lawyer warned her, "You're facing multiple lawsuits, defamation, fraud, emotional distress. James Morrison will sue. The company will sue. And the prosecutor may file criminal charges for filing a false police report. I deserve all of it," Jennifer said numbly. By morning, the story had broken. Apex Technologies VP admits false harassment accusation. The headlines were brutal. Social media erupted. Jennifer became the example everyone pointed to. "See? Women do lie about harassment." Jennifer received death threats. Her reputation built over 20 years was destroyed in hours. Friends cut contact. Her church asked her to stop teaching Sunday school. She'd gotten exactly what she'd given James. Complete devastation. Apex Technologies released a public statement. "We have determined that the harassment complaint against James Morrison was false. Mr. Morrison was wrongfully terminated. We're offering full reinstatement with back pay and are taking steps to restore his professional reputation. We apologize to Mr. Morrison and his family for the injustice we caused." But restoration wasn't instant. Sarah was cautiously open to reconciliation, but needed time. The daughters were thrilled. Their father was vindicated but scarred by the experience. James returned to Apex as VP of HR, the position Jennifer had stolen. But the trauma remained. He was in therapy, had trust issues, struggled with anger at Jennifer, at the system that had believed her, at the cultural moment that had made false accusations so powerful. 6 months after Jesus appeared to both Jennifer and James, they stood together by James's invitation in a church giving testimony. Jennifer spoke first. "My name is Jennifer Hayes. I'm a liar. I filed a false sexual harassment accusation against James Morrison to advance my career. I destroyed his life with my lies. Jesus Christ appeared to me and showed me what I'd done, showed me James contemplating suicide because of my false witness, and he demanded I confess. So I did." She shared the full story, the jealousy, the calculated lies, the career advancement built on destroyed reputation. "I broke the 9th commandment. You shall not bear false witness. I used my tongue as a weapon to commit character assassination, and I nearly caused James's death. I deserved every consequence. I was fired. I've been sued. I face criminal charges. But more than legal consequences, I carry the spiritual weight of what I did." James spoke next. "I'm James Morrison. 6 months ago, I was minutes from suicide, holding a gun, ready to end my life because false accusations had destroyed everything I valued. And Jesus Christ appeared, told me vindication was coming, and gave me a reason to live." He shared his story, the false accusation, the immediate belief of lies, the systematic destruction of his career and family. But Jesus was with me even in the darkest moments. And when Jennifer confessed, when she chose to tell the truth despite the cost, she saved my life. Not just physically, but gave me back my reputation, my future, my hope. Then James did something shocking. He forgave Jennifer publicly. "Jennifer destroyed my life with lies," James said. She deserves every legal consequence she's facing. But spiritually, as a Christian, I forgive her, because Jesus forgave me. And he commands us to forgive others. The audience was stunned. Jennifer was crying. Even she hadn't expected forgiveness. After the testimony, multiple people approached them, a woman in tears. I was planning to file a false harassment complaint against my boss because he didn't promote me. Your story stopped me. I would have destroyed an innocent man. Thank you for your honesty. A man. I was falsely accused 3 years ago, lost my career, my marriage, everything. Hearing that Jesus was with you during that darkness, it helps. I'm not alone. 1 year after, Jesus appeared. Jennifer and James met for coffee, an unlikely friendship forged through devastation and restoration. Jennifer had moved to a different city, was working retail, the only job she could get with her destroyed reputation. She attended a small church where no one knew her story. She was slowly rebuilding, but the consequences were permanent. I live with what I did every day, Jennifer told James. The guilt doesn't go away. Even though you've forgiven me, even though I've confessed and accepted consequences, I destroyed your life. That's not something you just move past. No, James agreed. But it's something we live with through God's grace. Jennifer, what you did was evil, but you're not evil. You're a sinner who sinned terribly like all of us. And Jesus offers redemption even for this. James and Sarah were in marriage counseling, slowly rebuilding trust. The daughters were healing. James still worked at Apex as VP, though the job felt different now, less about career and more about using his position to protect others from false accusations and actual harassment. I've become an advocate for due process, James explained, believing accusers and protecting the accused until truth is determined. Both real victims and falsely accused deserve justice. Jennifer had become an advocate too, speaking about the temptation to lie, the ease of destroying someone with false accusations, the eternal consequences of bearing false witness. Our culture has made false accusations easy and effective, Jennifer said in one talk. We believe accusers automatically. We destroy the accused without evidence. And that creates an environment where people like me can weaponize accusations for personal gain. We need to believe victims and verify truth. Both can be true. As they finished coffee, James said, Jennifer, I want you to know Jesus saved both of us that night. He saved me from suicide, but he saved you from damnation. What you did deserved hell. But you confessed, repented, and accepted consequences. That's the gospel. Your sin was devastating, but God's grace is greater. I don't deserve grace, Jennifer said quietly. That's what makes it grace, James replied. None of us deserve it, but Jesus offers it anyway. To you, to me, to everyone who'll receive it. They prayed together, perpetrator and victim, united in their need for Jesus' redemption. The 9th commandment, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor, is one of the 10 commandments. Not a suggestion, not a nice idea, an absolute moral law, and we break it constantly. False accusations, gossip, slander, half-truths, character assassination, destroying reputations with our tongues. James 3:5-6 says, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. Jennifer used her tongue as a weapon, filed a false accusation, destroyed a man's life, and felt justified because our cultural moment applauds destroying men, even innocent ones. But Jesus doesn't care about cultural moments. He cares about truth, and he takes bearing false witness seriously enough to include it in the 10 commandments. If you've ever spread gossip about someone, shared information you couldn't verify, embellished a story to make someone look bad, filed a false accusation, lied about someone to advance yourself, destroyed someone's reputation with half-truths, then you've broken the 9th commandment, and you need to repent. But what if the person deserved it? No one deserves lies. You can speak truth about someone that's not bearing false witness. But when you lie, exaggerate, or spread unverified information, that's sin. To women, false accusations make it harder for real victims to be believed. When you lie about harassment or assault, you harm actual victims. Don't weaponize real suffering for personal gain. To men, real harassment and assault exist. Real victims deserve justice. Supporting due process doesn't mean disbelieving victims. It means verifying truth before destroying lives. To everyone, your tongue has power. Proverbs 18:21 says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue. You can build up or destroy with your words. Choose carefully." Jennifer's story is extreme. She deliberately filed a false legal accusation. But the principle applies to all of us. Gossip destroys reputations. Lies devastate lives. Half-truths ruin relationships. And Jesus takes it seriously. Because bearing false witness isn't just sin against the person you lied about, it's sin against God. When you lie about someone made in God's image, you lie about God's creation. If you've borne false witness, confess, make restitution, accept consequences, don't minimize, don't justify, own the sin, and repent, genuinely. And if you've been falsely accused like James, know that Jesus sees truth. He was with James in the darkest moments. He intervened, he brought vindication, and he'll do the same for you. Truth matters. More than career, more than reputation, more than anything. Choose truth, always, even when it costs everything.
Subscribe to Tales of God's Grace for more true miracles and stories of redemption. Your support helps us reach and restore families around the world. Don't forget to tag a friend and share this video, so together we can spread faith, love, and healing where it's needed most.